players against Guida.
No,
was
another
ridiculous.
knee bar. Yeah.
What's that? Three in his amazing.
Yeah. Slick as well, how he got to it. Really, really slick.
I was surprised that Clay Guida wanted to grapple with him, though. Like he was the one that initiated the grappling exchange. I couldn't really make sense of that. Jourdain looked really good.
Yeah.
Venata, of course, a game opponent, got caught in that guillotine and did everything he could to get out of it, including losing his shorts.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He got up and he was just like pulling them back.
Yeah. I wonder if he'd have tapped sooner if they'd have taken his underwear down as well. Yeah. No, some good performances all the way down the card. Marc-Andre Barriault looked good. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Wright. I think I've said it before. You can quite clearly see that his career up to the point where he hit the UFC had been built up with really, really poor records. I kind of figured he would get his comeuppance at some point.
Yeah.
And Barriault is one of those. He's like Mershaw, who's on this weekend's card. Barriault's like that. You can take Barriault out of the UFC and put him in EFC in South Africa or Cage Warriors or Aries or wherever. King of the Cage. You could take him out of that top tier, even move him over into Bellator or One Championship, and the majority of guys he comes up against, he's going to give him a really hard time, and most likely, if he doesn't beat them, he'll lose a decision to them, because he's a tough, durable motherfucker. I think he was welterweight and middleweight champion in TKO.
Just good all round fighter, yeah.
Solid,
tough.
But at the same time, you kind of feel like there's a ceiling that they're going to hit, and they won't quite breach that top 10, top 15. And it's similar with Mershaw, who's on this weekend's card. He would beat the majority of people on the grassroots, but it's that top tier of fighters that he just kind of keeps banging his head on in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like a good filtration process for younger fighters like Jordan Wright coming through, who just didn't measure up. Who else stood out to you?
Well, Charles Jourdain was like a good standout performance for me. I thought the Dwight Grant fight and Sergey, that was a wicked fight.
Yeah,
really.
Fight of the night that was as well.
Good back and forth.
Yeah.
And it was just like someone was gonna get knocked out, and Sergey obviously got the knockout. But that was a wicked fight.
What about Tyson Pedro?
Oh yeah, man.
Good to see him back,
wicked.
Right?
Yeah.
How long was it? Was it 3 years he's been out?
3 years, yeah.
And what are they talking about? Something about his they put something back in the wrong place when he had his surgery. And it set him back fucking ages.
I know. Yeah, it was because of the surgery. Yeah, jeez. I'm not sure exactly why it set him back so long. But
there's got to be a lawsuit there. There's got to. Some lawyers are calling him up at this moment right now, trying to get him signed up for a lawsuit. That's
He just looked too much for Ike.
Poor old Ike,
leg
man.
Kicks.
Yeah, he's just not. He's not quite fit since he got into the UFC. I remember interviewing him in Fight Island before his debut. He was coming in against Chase Sherman, didn't he? I mean, he's got a couple of good wins, like on his way to the UFC. But since he's hit the UFC, he's just really struggled, and he's come up against some rough fighters as well. And Chase Sherman's massive.
Yeah,
but yeah, I feel like he's arrived at the UFC a bit too late. I mean, he's 38. He looks physically a lot smaller than Tyson Pedro. Yeah, rough night for him, and he got hurt bad with those low kicks as well. I wonder who Tyson gets next.
Before Tyson, was he out? So he wasn't ranked, was he? Was he?
Mm-mm.
He'd only just kind of came into the.
Yeah.
Had a couple of losses.
Yeah. He lost to OSP and then and Shogun.
Yeah.
Good to see him back.
Yeah, what's next for him anyway?
He had like a 14-week training camp as well. He started his training camp in Abu Dhabi with Tai Tuivasa, which must have been an absolute clusterfuck. Can you imagine? And then, did you see the video after Tuivasa knocked out Struve?
No.
Like the next morning in his Fight Island hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, piss the bed again.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Oh man, there are some terrible jobs in the world. Cleaning up after Tai Tuivasa must be one of them, right? Jeez. Good to see him back. And it was, obviously the UFC had given him a good opportunity here to pick up a win after coming off 2 losses. He's a very marketable individual. I like him. He carries his heart on his sleeve as well. You could see that in his post-fight interview how much he'd struggled over the
he was
time
trying
out.
to hold it back, wasn't he?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was cool to see.
Yeah. What about the DQ at the start of the
eye
night?
gouge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty, wasn't it? I mean, I was saying that, like, he'd already fouled him a couple of times previous to that, and then that was the final straw. But even if he hadn't fouled him a couple of times before, that still surely would have been.
It just looked so intentional, didn't it? You know, like I hate to say it because I like David Tamor, but like when he fought Charles Oliveira, and like Oliveira grabs his leg at the start of the fight, like the way that he kind of claws his hands and twists, you're like, fuck, like, dude, what are you trying to do to him? And DC was in the corner, of course, who was known for eye pokes as well. He was commentating on it, and like he was like, oh, that is awful, that is really bad. It was, that whole thing was weird. Like, there's a weird vibe around Mike Jackson anyway. Like Dana's not keen on him. Like, he's had some shit for the tattoos that he's got. He took that, he made his MMA debut in the UFC against Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall, CM Punk. It was just like his career's just been really fucking odd. And then he was coming in against the guy who was a massive favourite. He was a huge favourite. And he was saying things like if he didn't get a finish, then, people would be disappointed in him and stuff. The whole thing was odd for me.
Yeah.
It was like they were trying to get Dean Barry a quick win on his debut so they can start building him up, and he just horribly backfired.
He looked good, I thought, Dean Barry. Like, despite the kick to the nuts and the eye gouge, but he did look good. Look, it was certainly winning that fight, I thought, before that happened. But it was just a weird situation, wasn't it? And not a nice thing to happen, but
no, not at all. And I think we might be seeing Prachniow on his way soon as well. He just never looks like he wants to be in there, Marcin Prachniow. You could even see in the corner, like his corner team were trying to like get him fired up. They were like his corner. I can't remember what his corner man said to him. He's like. This last round's about who wants it more, like who wants it more, and he was like trying to get Prachniow to actually like physically say something. But yeah, fuck it. He just doesn't seem like he wants to be in there. And Philip Linz, on the other hand, looked a lot better at light heavyweight. He looked a lot better. A good night of fights.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say I felt a bit bad for Cameron Else as well.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to have been having much luck.
No, I don't know why as well, because he's a good fighter, Cameron Else is. He's just not quite found his feet in the UFC. It's a shame because he has got a lot of potential, but he'll find his feet elsewhere if not in the UFC. I could see him in somewhere like PFL for like a couple of 5 or 6 fights in PFL just to kind of reestablish himself.
Yeah.
And then make his return to the UFC. I think he's got the potential to be a top flight fighter. He's just not quite found his rhythm currently, has he?
No.